The sun hung high over Willow Creek, a picture-perfect suburb where every lawn was trimmed to an inch of its life, and beige houses stood like soldiers in neat rows. This was no accident. Willow Creek's Homeowners Association, the HOA, ruled with an iron fist, ensuring every blade of grass and every mailbox complied with their sacred rulebook. For Lieutenant V.Y.D. Carter, a cop who'd seen the worst of humanity in his work protecting kids, this place was a refuge. Not for the manicured hedges, but for the calm it promised his 17-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily was in her final year of high school, her life already a whirlwind of teenage chaos, made he VY by the curveball of pregnancy. Now in her third trimester, her belly was impossible to hide, and her nerves were frayed. But she had Milo, a soft orange tabby with a purr that could hush a storm. Milo wasn't just a pet, was her emotional support animal, prescribed by her therapist to keep her anxiety in check. The VYD, ever the meticulous cop, had dotted every I and crossed every T to make sure Milo's status was bulletproof. Doctors' letters, ESA certifications, even printouts of the Fair Housing Act were filed with the HOA and hand-delivered to its secretary, Margaret Holt. Margaret, pushing 60, was Willow Creek's unofficial queen. With her silver hair pulled tight and gray eyes that missed nothing, she patrolled the community like a hawk. The pool, the clubhouse, the flower beds, nothing escaped her scrutiny. To her, Lily's pregnancy was a stain on Willow Creek's pristine canvas. A married teen? Unacceptable. And Milo, despite the legal papers the VYD waved in her face, was just a sneaky way to dodge the HOA's no pets in common areas rule. Margaret didn't care about federal law. Her law was the HOA covenants, and she wielded them like a Bible. It started small. Sharp looks when Lily sat on a park bench, sketching to calm her nerves. Milo leashed at her feet. Then came the notes, typed and slipped under their door, citing vague rules about sanitation risks or aesthetic walkways. Margaret's campaign grew bolder at HOA meetings, where she'd call out certain residents who thought their personal issues excused them from the rules. Her eyes would lock on Lily, who'd shrink in her chair, feeling every stare in the room. The VYD, often stuck at work during these meetings, would hear about it later from a tearful Lily, his blood boiling. He tried reasoning with Margaret one humid morning, finding her fussing over sprinklers near the entrance. "Margaret," he said, voice steady, holding out Milo's paperwork. "Lily needs Milo. It's medical, it's legal, and your comments are crossing into harassment." Margaret barely glanced at the papers. "Lieutenant Carter," she replied, her voice icy. "Our rules protect everyone. Exceptions breed chaos. No one's above them." Her words were final, but the VYD caught a flicker in her eyes, something personal, bitter. He didn't know then that 5 years ago, Margaret had begged the HOA for her own support animal after her husband's death, only to be shot down. Rules are rules, they'd told her. Now, she was the one holding the gavel, and she'd be damned if Lily got special treatment. The VYD warned her that legal action was next, but Margaret just raised an eyebrow. "Do what you must, Lieutenant. The rules stand." He left, unease gnawing at him. His cop instinct screamed that Margaret's obsession was dangerous, but he hesitated to drag Lily through a legal fight. Her pregnancy was high risk. The stress could be catastrophic. So he documented everything, waiting for Margaret to slip up in a way he could prove. He didn't expect her to go so far. One sweltering Thursday, Margaret watched from her window as Lily settled on her usual bench by the clubhouse, Milo sniffing the grass nearby. Margaret knew the kitchen side door was often left unlatched after deliveries. She'd checked the security camera's blind spots and, the night before, unplugged its power under the guise of dust inspection. The HOA's monitoring app confirmed it was offline. The freezer's temperature sensor was a minor annoyance, but it logged no VY Souls, and she could brush it off as routine maintenance. With a tin of tuna pâté in hand, she moved. Slipping into the kitchen, Margaret clicked softly, cracking open the tin. The fishy smell drifted out, and Milo's ears perked up. He glanced at Lily, engrossed in her book, then padded toward the door. In seconds, Margaret scooped him up, muffling his startled meow, and marched to the walk-in freezer. She yanked the door open, tossed the squirming cat onto a shelf of frozen burgers, and slammed it shut. The latch clicked with a chilling finality. "Violation addressed," she muttered, wiping her hands as if cleansing herself of filth. She slipped out, Leah VYing the door ajar, and strode to the HOA office, smug satisfaction curling her lips. Minutes later, Lily noticed the leash limp on the grass. "Milo," she called, her voice rising with panic. "Milo!" She stood too fast, dizziness hitting as her hand flew to her belly. Tears streamed down her face as she searched the bushes, her cries growing desperate. "Milo, please." No one noticed. A couple walked their dog. Someone grabbed mail, but Lily was alone, her heart pounding with terror. Across town, de VYD was buried in a child abduction case when his phone came a critical alert from Willow Creek's security system. Freezer unit temp deviation, -8 °C, Fala. Door sensor closed. He frowned, annoyed, thinking it was another HOA glitch. Then his personal phone rang. "Dad," Lily sobbed. "Milo's gone. I was on the bench, and he vanished." "What of Margaret?" The pieces clicked, cold and sickening. The freezer alert. Milo missing. Margaret's vendetta. De VYD's stomach churned. This wasn't a glitch, it was deliberate. "Maya, stay there. Don't confront anyone." "I'm coming," he said, already sprinting to his car, radioing for backup. "Dispatch, Carter. Code 3 to Willow Creek Clubhouse. Felony animal cruelty, possible child endangerment. Suspect, Margaret Holt, likely on site." Sirens blaring, he tore through traffic, dread and rage warring inside him. He reached the clubhouse in 4 minutes, spotting Lily by the steps, pale and trembling. Ignoring her pleas, he burst through the kitchen side door, eyes locking on the freezer. He yanked it open, frigid air hitting like a punch. There was Milo, shivering on a shelf, frost coating his fur, his weak meow shattering de VYD's heart. He tucked the cat inside his jacket, whispering, "I got you, buddy." Just then, Margaret's heels clicked into the kitchen, clipboard in hand, her face a mask of authority until she saw de VYD, Milo trembling against his chest. "Lieutenant Carter, that animal is forbidden here," she snapped, but her voice cracked as de VYD stepped forward, fury radiating. "You lured Milo in here, trapped him in that freezer, and endangered my daughter's health," he said, voice low and lethal. "The freezer sensor alerted me. Your camera tampering's noted too." Margaret paled, stammering about privacy and false accusations, but the REVYing patrol officer cut her off. "Margaret Holt, you're under arrest." She shrieked, papers scattering as she backed away. "He's just a cat. She's just a spoiled teen breaking rules." Handcuffs clicked, silencing her protests as she was let out, her perfect world crumbling. Milo served VY Ved, thanks to a night at the vet, but Lily's trauma lingered, her blood pressure spiking from the stress. The investigation hit a snag when Margaret wiped the freezer's sensor logs, Leah VYing the prosecution with circumstantial EVY Denke. At trial, her lawyer painted her as a strict but innocent volunteer, sowing doubt. The VYD watched, helpless, as the jury seemed swayed. Then, a bombshell, a delivery truck's dash cam, found in a separate case, showed Margaret luring Milo and emerging alone, her smug demeanor damning. The courtroom gasped. Margaret crumpled. The jury took 30 minutes. Guilty on all counts: animal cruelty, child endangerment, hate crime. Margaret got 5 years. Her home seized to cover fines. Willow Creek's HOA, shamed by the media storm, apologized and rewrote its rules. Lily gave birth to a healthy boy, channeling her pain into advocacy through Lily's Light, a nonprofit for pregnant teens. Willow Creek began to heal, Margaret's tyranny a fading scar. Behind bars, she sat in her cell, her obsession with control now just a bitter irony, while Lily, Milo by her side, stepped boldly into her future,